Frank Mrvan exposes Kash Patel's moment of unraveling with a single question that shouldn't have been hard to answer. Who sent the email? What followed wasn't a routine exchange or political theater. It was a genuine crack in the facade, the kind you rarely see from someone seeking one of the most powerful law enforcement positions in the country. Because when a sitting member of Congress calmly walks a nominee into a corner, and that nominee keeps switching answers under pressure, you're not watching a misunderstanding. You're watching a system struggling to keep its own story straight.
Full mission set that we have at the FBI and HIDA, I worked on as a terrorism prosecutor as myself. Extremely critical because, like some of the other situations across the country, that region has been recognized, unfortunately, because of the high-intensity drug flow. In order to countermand it, we have to keep these task forces open, up and running, and funded. But in order to do that, we can't just flood it only with federal funds and federal personnel committed to working with our state and local partners, because that's what makes HIDA successful. My experience in HIDA wasn't in your district, but down in the Southern District of Florida, and I can't imagine it being too different in terms of how we proceed and how to make that successful.
Okay. My next question is, just recently you had a visit to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Just please tell me how that cyber tip line and how that program's future looks with these $500 million cuts.
We actually partner wonderfully with NCMEC, and we've committed to allowing our FBI employees to remain there no matter what. We will find a way to fill that mission set, even if, even under the most austere of budget cuts, because what they do is exceptional. If people don't know, they need to go there and see it. It's right in Arlington, Virginia. They find missing children from 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, and they provide treatment to those that have been abused.
Okay.
And so you have my commitment, sir, that we'll do it.
I appreciate that. And according to the domestic terrorism operations sections, the internal tagging system used to track domestic terrorism investigations was eliminated, and the staff of 16 was reduced. Can you tell me that future and where you hold that program?
Sir, if I may, can I get back to you on that in writing, because I'm not familiar with that off my head.
Then in your written testimony, you had talked about cybersecurity. I'm going to tie two things together. The FBI agents, are they still currently at the end of every week emailing the 5 things that they've accomplished?
I'm glad you raised that point, sir. We never did that.
Okay.
I stopped
the
that.
FBI agents were never asked to put in their goals in which they accomplished?
The
reason why I say that is because I had a specific conversation at a retirement party of a chief from an agent who expressed to me that after he had chased a car down 8094 who had stabbed a family member, and he left his home and was able to prevent that individual from killing someone else because it was cross state lines, that he had to go back, and then that next day was told he had to fill out his emails of what he accomplished.
That email was sent across government agencies.
So it was sent to the FBI.
It was sent to.
So you just said it was never sent to the FBI. So was it or was it not?
It was sent to the FBI. I, as the director of the FBI, said we are not.
Who sent it?
We are not responding to it. It came from a general account at the department.
Okay, so then my next question is, that information that my FBI agent in my district sent to that agency, how is that information protected?
I'm sorry, are you saying the agent responded to that email?
Are you saying they did not?
I told the workforce not to.
But you just told me that they received the email.
We did.
So without this, let's just assume that they did. Where did that information go, and how is it protected?
That information would have only been sent to their immediate supervisor, and every supervisor in the Bureau was told if they received any such information, it is not to be actioned in any way.
So what happened with that information with the supervisors?
I don't know. Well, I'll have to get back to you on that, if any was collected, but if it was.
So you said that the FBI, that a different agency sent that email. What was that agency?
It came from the Department of Justice.
Okay. And those emails never went back to the Department of Justice, who requested it?
No, sir.
Okay. And you're 100% confident of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The information that the supervisors had from those agents, where did that go?
That should not have been transmitted anywhere. We got on top of it fast enough where I believe, and
Because you thought it was wrong?
I thought
Why did you prevent it?
Because the operational mandate that we have at the Bureau, in my opinion, prohibited the public disclosure of that information across our media.
So to be perfectly clear, the Department of Justice got it wrong.
I'm not speaking for the Department of Justice.
But you are saying that that directive was in complete conflict of what your procedures and processes are.
my procedures and processes are under the Department of Justice. I'm saying as a subordinate of the Department of Justice, that's where the email came from. I don't know where it came from on top of them.
But your directive was to make sure that the Department of Justice did not get the FBI information,
That no one got it.
except the supervisors. Why would they request it if they would never get it?
Well, the supervisors were told to stand down. What I'm trying to say is when that email came in, we acted as fast as we could, I think the same day, to say we are not in a position to do that. Everybody hit pause till we figure out what to do. And the end result was we at the FBI are not complying with that request to publicly do so. And we told agents that if you feel the need to express that information to your supervisors, only do so on the classified system.
Okay. The information that I received, that personal conversation that I had, that agent didn't seem like he felt the need. He felt it was a directive. I thank you for your forthcoming. I look forward to working with you. The purpose of me bringing up this questioning was to make sure that that information is secure.
Yes, sir.
Thank you
I'll
very
double
much.
check.
Mr. Moore.
I yield back.
And the tension that filled that room wasn't just discomfort. It was a warning sign, the kind that makes everyone listening sit up a little straighter, wondering what else is being hidden behind procedural language and bureaucratic shrugging. The moment began innocently enough, a question about a strange email reportedly sent across multiple agencies, landing in the inboxes of FBI personnel. An email asking federal agents to list their weekly accomplishments. That might sound harmless on paper, but think about what federal agents actually do in a given week. They track dangerous suspects, pursue cross-border crimes, handle classified intel, navigate domestic threats, and manage cases the public never hears about. Asking them to summarize that work in an unsecured email thread is more than unusual. It's reckless. And the more the exchange unfolded, the more obvious it became that this wasn't just a clerical misstep. It was something no one at the table wanted to claim. At first, Patel insisted the email wasn't sent to the FBI. He said it flat out. But within minutes, after Mrvan described speaking directly to an agent who received it, Patel suddenly shifted. Now the email did go to the FBI, but it came from some vague account at the Department of Justice. That abrupt reversal changed the entire tone of the hearing. Lawmakers don't usually get such clean contradictions in real time, and the ones in that room knew immediately they'd stumbled onto something larger. Because if an email like that did exist, and if frontline agents believed it was a directive, then Patel's earlier denial wasn't just an oversight. It was the first thread being pulled from something far more tangled. The congressman kept the pressure steady, never raising his voice, never seeming emotional, just asking the kind of questions that require clarity, not improvisation. And Patel wasn't prepared for clarity. The more he answered, the more confusing the story became. He said the FBI received the email but rejected it. He said supervisors could have seen information sent by agents but shouldn't have acted on it. He said he told the workforce to stand down, but couldn't confirm whether anyone had already responded. And every time Mrvan circled back to the same point, where did the data go? The same answer came out. I'll have to get back to you on that. Over and over. As if the head of the Bureau had no operational awareness of what his supervisors were doing in response to a government-wide request. That uncertainty isn't just awkward. It's dangerous. Government agencies operate on chain-of-command discipline. Every directive, every internal order, every data request is supposed to be documented, justified, and secured. Especially when you're talking about federal agents who handle national security threats. So when a congressman asks where the information went and the nominee to run the entire bureau says he doesn't know, that's not a small flaw in communication. That's an integrity problem. It's what made the hearing feel less like an oversight session, and more like the moment when someone realizes the floorboards are loose beneath their feet. Because if no one knows who sent the email, and no one can confirm where the data went, and no one can say whether the DOJ or the FBI mishandled it, then the system isn't functioning the way it's supposed to. These aren't small agencies with a handful of employees. These are the institutions responsible for protecting Americans from threats foreign and domestic. And yet here they were, struggling to explain a single message. But the most telling moment came when Mrvan asked the one question Patel couldn't talk his way around. So, to be perfectly clear, the Department of Justice got it wrong? That line froze the room. Because answering yes would mean publicly stating that the DOJ made a mistake big enough for the FBI director to reject outright. But answering no would mean the FBI ignored a legitimate DOJ directive. Either answer creates a rift between two crucial institutions, and neither outcome reflects well on Patel. So he chose neither. He stalled, stuttered, tried to reposition his words, insisted he wasn't speaking for the DOJ but also wasn't disobeying it. Yet every attempt made the contradiction more obvious. Rumors online have long suggested that tensions between certain DOJ divisions and bureau leadership have been simmering beneath the surface for a while. Nothing officially confirmed, nothing concrete, but analysts have speculated about competing priorities, mismatched protocols, and uneven internal communication. Whether those rumors carry full weight or not, moments like this hearing breathe new life into them. Because it's rare to see internal friction on display so plainly, and even rarer to watch a nominee openly contradict his own department, then try to walk it back without fully addressing the implication. The congressman didn't accuse, didn't imply wrongdoing, didn't make the moment theatrical. His tone is what made it so effective. Calm questioning is harder to deflect. It gives the listener space to hear the contradictions for themselves. And that's exactly what happened here. The more Patel explained, the less aligned his answers became. One minute he was certain the FBI never participated. The next, he was certain the DOJ was responsible. Then suddenly he wasn't sure what supervisors did with the data. It was like watching someone unspool their own narrative without realizing it until the end. And what made the moment land even harder was the story Mrvan told from his own district. A frontline agent who believed the directive was real, who chased down a dangerous suspect, protected a family, crossed state lines to intervene, and then was told the next day to email in a list of his accomplishments. Not because of internal protocol, not because of a secure reporting system, but because of an email. That isn't just poor communication. That's confusion at the highest levels trickling down into operational work in the field. And when federal agents are unclear about what their leadership is asking of them, someone is failing them from the top. When Mrvan pressed Patel on how information would be protected if an agent responded, Patel couldn't answer. He didn't know where the data would go, didn't know how it would be stored, didn't know whether it would be transmitted anywhere else. Those aren't small blind spots. Those are vulnerabilities. And anyone listening could feel how deeply uncomfortable that made the room. What became clear through this entire exchange is that Patel wasn't expecting anyone to challenge the narrative he came in with. He wanted to say the email didn't affect the FBI, and leave it at that. He didn't anticipate evidence from the field. He didn't anticipate someone asking where the information might have gone. He didn't anticipate being asked whether the DOJ, the department he would technically serve, made a wrong call. And that's why every pivot felt rushed. Every clarification felt incomplete. Every answer raised a question he couldn't close. It's moments like this that reveal the fault lines inside government agencies. Not the public statements, not the polished interviews. These small moments inside hearings where someone is forced to explain something they hoped no one would ask. Because it shows which systems aren't communicating, which leaders aren't aligned, which protocols aren't being followed, and which directives are being issued without proper oversight. These cracks matter. They matter for transparency, for public trust, for national security. The smallest unexplained action inside a federal agency can ripple into real-world consequences. And when the person who wants to lead that agency can't trace a directive or explain a breakdown, that's a problem. What makes the exchange even more significant is that it isn't isolated. Over the last several hearings, patterns have emerged where Patel avoids direct responsibility, dodges uncomfortable specifics, or frames failures as misunderstandings. Reports claim that he's repeatedly sidestepped questions about oversight, accountability, and procedural missteps. None of it confirmed at an official level, but enough to fuel ongoing debate about whether he's prepared to lead an agency built entirely on discipline and protocol. And when you place this moment next to those earlier concerns, the pattern becomes harder to ignore. Because leadership isn't just about bold statements or confident testimony. It's about clarity. It's about knowing what your agency is doing, what directives it receives, how information is handled, and how potential vulnerabilities are addressed. And when that clarity is missing, hearings like this one expose it. They cut through the talking points. They strip away the prepared lines. They reveal whether the nominee understands the responsibility they're asking for. And in Patel's case, the cracks showed fast. By the end of the exchange, the room understood exactly why the congressman brought it up. This wasn't a technical dispute. This was about safeguarding sensitive information, preventing mismanagement of classified or operational data, and ensuring federal agents aren't accidentally transmitting intel through unsecured channels. It's about accountability at the highest level. And when Patel finally said he would double-check and get back to them, it didn't land as reassurance. It sounded like someone hoping the issue fades before he has to provide a real answer. But hearings like this don't fade. They linger. They shape public perception. They influence how lawmakers vote. And they remind viewers that small questions can reveal big truths about how institutions function behind closed doors. That's why this exchange matters. Not because of politics, not because of headlines, but because transparency inside government is only as strong as the leaders tasked with maintaining it. And if one unexplained email can cause this level of confusion, imagine what else could be slipping through unnoticed. If you found this breakdown helpful and want more deep dive analysis into hearings, investigations, and political moments that expose what's really happening behind the scenes, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.